Welcome to the Efed podcast, the podcast exploring our fantasy wrestling hobby where the wrestling is written, but the characters are real. I'm your host, Mikey Unlikely, and I would like to thank you for joining us here today on the Atomic Dropcast Network. If you guys are digging the show, go ahead and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening. Give us a review, we would greatly appreciate it. If you want to interact with the show, you can find us on Twitter at the Efed Podcast. That's TheEfedPodcast, the Efed Podcast. We've got a Discord server you can be a part of. Just hit us up. We're open to hearing from you guys. We want to hear your suggestions, criticisms, and your accusations. Bring them on. Episode 8. Can you believe it? We're nearly 2 months into this, and we've already gotten bigger than I could have ever expected. We just hit 500 followers on Twitter in less than 2 months. Guys, it's exciting times for the Efed podcast. It's Christmas week. I'm here in my large, oversized footy pajamas. We're baking cookies for Santa Claus, waiting on the pitter-patter of little reindeer feet on my roof. And I wonder, what did you ask for Christmas? Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, happy whatever holiday you're celebrating, from us here at the Efed podcast. Just a heads up, we're taking off a week next week, as I need a little extra time to celebrate the holidays with my kids. But don't worry, we'll be back on January 6th with another exciting episode. This week on the show, we've got the Efed Question of the Week, brought to you by the EWC. And speaking of EWC, today we've got an exclusive interview with EWC superstar Kendrick Kross. Stay tuned for that. It's a great interview, and of course, as always, we've got the Feds list. But first, here's a word from our sponsors.
Defiance, an Angle Fed boasting 8 years of continuous fantasy wrestling. Defiance offers opportunities for original characters, micros, a standalone website utilizing Backstage 3 script, and a forum hosted on the long-running FWrestling.com, as well as a roster full of some of the most experienced writers in the game. Come see for yourself at DefianceWrestling.com. That's DefianceWrestling.com.
All right, it's time for the Efed Question of the Week, brought to you by the EWC. The Extreme Wrestling Corporation is the game's longest-running roleplay Efed, having been established in 1997. With over 100 active role players across 4 unique brands, the EWC offers opt-in booking on all of its bi-weekly shows, home to Stranglemania, and the 4-day wrestling festival known as WrestleFest. They just pulled that off, guys. Check it out at EWC4life.com. The EWC is built on its welcoming community with zero bias, no drama, and all styles are welcome. Check out the EWC today at EWC4life.com. That's EWC4life.com. Question of the week this week was, what is the craziest thing you've experienced in e-wrestling? At Burrows5, I don't know if this is crazy or me doing the right thing, but saving someone's life when they sent a video with them trying to kill themselves. I actually had to call my local police department up for this as well. That was at Burrows5 on Twitter. At Noah Ramon Efed. Guy in my Fed who threatened to send neo-Nazis to another handler's house to beat the piss out of him. Catfished and then said he was being framed impersonated by a pedo that lived close to him in Denver. There is much, much more to that story, guys. Check it out at the Question of the Week tweet on Twitter. But that's a pretty crazy start. At User Poets. Same situation, very long story. I'm going to give you guys the beginning. You can check it out at the Efed Podcast on Twitter. Last week's Question of the Week. At User Poets, cross-promotional match between FWO star and an Asylum star who had feuded for years. It ended with the Asylum star blowing his brains out with a shotgun so that the FWO star could not beat him. Since the Asylum was sold as a legit, illegal pit-fighting operation, they considered it actually happened. That's crazy, Pete. At Rick Dick NPW, a handler once created alternate personas and acted as each different one during interactions with handlers and group chats. Basically, John was also Steve and George, However, John never told anyone else that he was Steve and George. Kinda weird, but hey, to each their own. Yes, I've seen situations of the same thing there, ridiculous. It's pretty crazy. At Hero High Spot on Twitter, did a podcast for another Fed, and we tried to get another handler to play the part. Turns out he was having sex while drunk on the live podcast. Awesome. Keep bringing these good stories in, guys. At X Blackbeard, I met a guy, his brother, and his wife at a Comic-Con. All were members of the Fed WXW. They proceeded to ask me if I knew where they could score some meth. Naturally, I said no. They buggered off, and I saw them in the parking lot smoking in their car. I wish I was kidding. Thanks for the great story, Blackbeard. Arr, matey. At Memphis Tommy, I was in a Fed with a close friend. I might have been, totally was, drunk when writing the roleplay, and I had my character see, for a good time, call Tim, who was my buddy's name, at the bar. I put my buddy's home phone number in the roleplay, but nobody called. We were both pissed. That's awesome. Give me the number. I'll go ahead and tweet it out, and I bet you I can get everybody to call it. That'll be a good time. At Howie, once as a joke to see if they even read it, I wrote the intro and the outro, and in the middle pasted the entire concession speech from Mitt Romney. They accepted my app and never said a word. That's what I get for trying to join a WWE Fed as Paul Burchill. The Pirate. Oh, I see what you did there. At Xavier Reed, guy breaks through and wins the world championship over the Fed head, but then out of the blue quits the Fed. Fed head is pissed, so at the next show, it kicks off with the champ in the ring saying goodbye. Fed head's wrestler comes out, shoves the leg of a chair up his, well, you know. Oh, some people are a little fickle. At Project Holland 3, I got buried by a Fed head who became jealous that I spoke to his girlfriend one time on Messenger. There it is again, jealousy rearing its ugly head. At Colby Corver on Twitter, 3 other handlers and I put a face stable to rival a dark heel stable. First segment between the two factions. The owner writes us as total heels and the bad guys as beloved faces. His reasoning, after the card was posted, Gothic characters are cool right now. Shit move to write your character opposite of what you intended it to be. If he wants the crowd to react differently, they can, but they don't have to make your character act a certain way. That's dishonest the way you want it written. At MHW Online, I was running HCW in maybe 2004. One of the handlers was starting shit with everyone in the OOC board. So I gave him the boot. 3 of his friends quit in protest. No big deal. We had 30 more superstars, didn't need the drama. The other match writer was friends with one who left, so he asked me to bring dude back, so that everybody else would come back. I say no. Next morning I wake up, my admin rights for the forums are gone. The other match writer got the Fed head to demote me to a regular role player if I chose to stay. That run of HCW ended a few weeks later. Thanks everybody for answering this week's question of the week. We're going to post another one for everybody to get up to over the holiday weekend. All right, guys, we're back here for another interview on the Efed podcast. This week we're here with Bryce, the handler of Kendrick Kross. He's at Kendrick Kross on Twitter, and Kendrick Kross is in the EWC, Elysium Pro Wrestling, and Southside Wrestling. Bryce, thank you for joining us. How you doing today?
Not a problem. Doing great.
Good. Glad to have you here on the Efed podcast. Thanks for joining us. You were one of the
Glad to be on.
You were one of the early ones to hop on the bandwagon.
Well, I thought it was a good idea, so hey.
Well, appreciate that very much. And let's start off with, how did you get into wrestling?
Well, wrestling my dad was into.
Okay.
So I just, I got into it through him.
And what kind of wrestling did he watch? WWF, WCW?
He watched both.
Okay.
He didn't have a preference that I know of, but yeah, he watched both.
And did you have a preference?
I was more into WWF.
Yeah. So
That was my thing.
when do you remember really being into it, or was it just as long as you can remember?
Really, as long as I can remember. I know I really, really got into it though. Probably when I was 11.
Okay.
Is when I became, a really true weekly watcher. That was because one of my friends moved in just down the road from me, so we'd watch it together every week.
And what era was that?
Well, when he moved down the road, that was when Rey Mysterio first joined WWF, whatever it was.
Okay.
That was when he first joined it. So
early thousands, 2003 or
yeah.
So. Yeah.
I mean, I was into it before that, but
that's when you really dove head first.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So who were your favorite wrestlers? Was it Rey Mysterio?
My favorite wrestlers have always been like Shawn Michaels, and I mean Rey Mysterio is, but really Shawn Michaels and people like that.
Okay. So how did you find e-wrestling then?
I really was just surfing the internet at one time and ran across it and checked it out, and that was that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. So you found it through search engines?
Yeah.
Yeah, just looking up different wrestling groups or wrestling federations or something. Yep. That's awesome. And when you joined, that's like 1999, 2000-ish. What feds were you in back then, or do you remember?
I don't remember the names. I just know that they were through Yahoo chat rooms. That was when Yahoo chat. That was when like Yahoo and MSN chat rooms were really the big thing.
Yeah.
Before it transferred over to pro boards and stuff like that.
I remember getting recruited in Yahoo chat rooms. So that's funny. That's good stuff. So who was your first character when you got into e-wrestling?
My first character was Axel Amori. People might know that name. I had him for 20 years, and then I had left e-wrestling for two years, and when I came back, that's when I switched to Kendrick. So I've only had two main characters in 20 years.
Wow. And then Kendrick Kross has been the main character for how long now?
Almost 2 years.
Okay. So you got a good feel for him by then. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's definitely my favorite that I've.
Yeah? Good.
For sure, just because I can get into him.
Absolutely. So who are some of the influences for Kendrick Kross?
Really, I don't have any. Okay. Honestly, there was no. I can't think of really any influences. It came to me. He came to me one day, and I really can't think of anyone that influenced him, though.
Okay, in the last 2 years that you've been Kendrick Kross, talk to us about his accomplishments, what's going on, the feds that you've been in, EWC, Elysium, and Southside. Did you join them all at the same time, or how long have your runs been in each, and so on and so forth?
No, EWC was the one I first joined because I was in that before.
Okay.
I was in that twice before as Axel. But yeah, I came back and joined that. EWC has always been my main one. But and then after that is when I joined CW California Wrestling, which had I was in it for over a year before it closed down, and it just came back up. But I've been in Southside for, I want to say, a total of like 8 months because I had a break in between them.
Okay.
I left and then ended up coming back, and then Elysium I have been in for almost just 4 months.
Okay. And then they just came back from a break as well, correct?
Yeah, because I know the date. I know it's been about 4 months because of the fact that my first match is when I won the Iron title, which is what I am, which I'm the Iron champion there now. So,
And we'll talk about some of the. You talked about the Iron Championship. What about other accomplishments Kendrick Kross has achieved?
let's see. With him, I've been. Let's see. I've been the TV champion at EWC twice. Was the X Division champion, and obviously the Iron champion now. And then it originally in CW, I held the Pride title and the Hollywood title. And
Quite a bit in 2 years.
There's been others, but yeah, I know all total adding them up, he's been a champion 8 total times.
Wow.
Maybe 9. I know 8 for sure.
That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the character, gimmick-wise, and what drives him.
Well, really gimmick-wise, I got it. He really, well, originally he came in just being like one of the MMA fighter type things, just a generic thing.
Okay.
And it really didn't go anywhere. I mean, I won my first 2 championships with him that way, the TV title and EWC. But it just really didn't go anywhere, and then it went from that for a good 6 months. There was a time where he was part of this joking type group called Freaks and Geeks in EWC, which that was fun. but people had left, and I had left because, well, I didn't leave. I had to go on break because of health problems.
Gotcha.
I was gone for 2-3 months. But, and then from then, I just couldn't really find something that fit me.
Okay.
But, lately, he's been more, if people have seen the show, American Horror Story.
Sure.
The first season, which they ended up calling Murder House, I based him off that. Like, all the promos and stuff would be done in a thing called the Murder House in a basement. And it was really a freaky type thing. And it sort of transferred from there to where the Murder House has caused him to have caused him to have a double personality that he doesn't know he has.
Okay, that's interesting.
And it's been fun. That's actually been fun And in CW for a while, he was part of the A-List, which was this group that basically viewed themselves higher than everyone else. Just that was basic. But overall, I really have the feel for the Murder House thing, which has gotten me to where I am now, just comfortable with him.
Anytime you
I
can
don't have a problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem writing. It just comes to me. It's just comfortable.
good. Yeah, anytime you can step outside the box and explore a character in a different way, I think it makes you want to write. It picks you up and it excites you to do something different.
For sure.
Yeah. So tell me about what are your favorite things about e-wrestling and what are your least favorite things?
My least favorite thing is drama.
The drama.
Drama. Drama in general, and people who think that, their characters are better than everyone else's. That, because they're, like, and because, they may be a little bit of a better writer than other people, and it means just like, they're the best or whatever. That bothers me.
The ego.
The ego, the drama, it's like, it's not needed. It's e-wrestling. It's like, we come here for an escape, not for drama.
Yeah.
But as far as my fun stuff, really, it's just about writing. I mean, that is what is fun to me and most enjoyable. It's just writing, and I met a lot of friends that have helped me write, and just the conversation with people. It makes it fun.
Yeah. And definitely a good community helps. And I know you guys have a good one there over at the EWC. For sure.
Very.
Yeah. All right, Bryce, let's get to the Twitter questions we got this week. Are you ready?
For sure.
All right, man. At EWC Efed asked a couple. First of all, on a scale of awesome to unbelievably awesome, how awesome is the president of the EWC?
I knew he was going to ask that one. I know he's going to listen, so Mac, it's unbelievably awesome.
Top of the scale.
No, but seriously, he is one, if not the best Fed head I've come across. I mean, if you don't know him, if you haven't talked to him, haven't been part of EWC, you need to, because of the fact that I love him. He's been the best one I've come across, and that's why I'm still there.
It's a great answer. His second question is, what is it like to be part of WrestleFest, both as a handler and a character standpoint?
That is actually, as Ace said there, I saw no pressure there, but it's actually been fun. It's the first time that we've done a 4-day event there, and the fact that they're able to do it live, it's just been awesome being a part of it. And the fact that I'm actually was able to write a segment and part of the match. I was able to write a match, write a segment, and be part of a match. It's just been awesome. So, I mean, as a character, it's been really, really fun, but as a handler, it's just the best experience ever.
That's awesome. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, WrestleFest is a 4-day event. They're posting live updates throughout the day on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Started earlier today as we're recording. And check out EWC, guys. They do some cool stuff. All right, person number 2, at Rebel Roads, with the classic question. What's the ultimate dream match scenario for you?
That's a tough one because there's a few. But if I had to really choose one, I would like to go up against, I know he's retired, but I'd like to go up against Explode in EWC. Just because I know how good of a writer he is, and even when I was there originally, I never got to have a match with him, but if I could just have a one-off with him, that would be my dream right there.
That's awesome. And I saw he popped up recently over there.
Yeah, he comes around every so often, especially for the big events.
That's really cool. All right, coming up next is at War Matsuda. Who is your favorite wrestler and why is it Stephanie Matsuda?
Who's my favorite wrestler? Can I say myself? No, I'm joking.
That's a heel.
Oh, my favorite. I don't think I have a favorite really, because everyone that I've come across that I've written, I don't know, is just has brought a different aspect. And so to say I have a favorite, it's really hard. But as far as Stephanie, why, if she was my favorite, why? Because she gave me the match of the year when she beat me for the X Division title, but it was my hardest match to write for. That's for sure.
That's awesome. At Stranglemania writes, how did you get into the game? Which we kind of went over, but what keeps you a part of it now?
I think I said it. The community. I mean, especially in EWC. The EWC community is like family. And I mean, there's been personal stuff that I've been able to tell them, and we're a big, tight family there. So them, and I have some other people that I feel the same, but overall just the community and how close a lot of us can be.
That's what keeps a lot of people in the game, I think. All right, next question. At Cyrus B 272-834-63, Cyrus Black. Why are you stalking me, Bryce?
Because he has what I want. Simple. He has what I want.
And what is that?
He has the international title. I want it. Plain and simple. Straightforward answer.
At Killjoy Ito, or Killjoy_Ito, sorry. Would you like Tommy Love to manage you in 2020?
I don't want Tommy Love managing any of my characters. No, but really, he is a cool character, but he just not a fit for Kendrick.
Not a good match. At Miss Katie Keller, when is the Battle of the K2s happening?
Hell if I know, but I want it.
Kendrick Kross versus
seriously.
Katie Keller.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for a good year, and no one has seemed to book it, and we want them to.
You're ready for it.
If anything, I think she's in EWC in the Thunder brand. So if she is, the next Thunder I may sign up for. See if we can do that.
There you go. So, at Howie, are there any championships in any other feds that you've wanted to win but never have?
And any other feds I've wanted to win? Not that I can think of. I mean,
obviously you want to get to the top of the mountain in the feds you are in.
in EWC and Southside, but as far as in another fed, I mean, honestly, no, but I really don't pay attention to. I try to focus on the feds I'm in rather than pay attention to the. But I mean, I can't think of anyone that I'd really want to win the top championship in, because if I wanted to, I'd be in that fed, I think. I mean, that's not a knock on other feds. It's just I'm in the ones that I want to be in, and put it that way.
There you go. That makes sense. Well, awesome, Bryce. That's all we got for you here today. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on. Before you go, is there anybody else you want to shout out to? Anything else you want to put over?
Just, if you really, y'all really need to check out WrestleFest going on in EWC right now. It's an amazing event. It's, it's the first time I've ever seen someone do a 4-day live event like this, but
for sure.
But I know this is gonna air after it ends, but y'all really need to go check that out.
Awesome, and they can find that at EWC4life.com. Let's slip that in there. All right, lastly but not leastly, Bryce, what do you want for Christmas?
I got what I want for Christmas. I'm going to Florida.
Awesome. All right, man. Hey, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Not a problem.
If we can turn back the clock of time, if we can rotate it back almost 20 years ago.
A real Donnybrook, that's going to be. Nicely executed, and down to the cabin. Here comes, all hell's going to break loose now.
Welcome to the Atomic Dropcast, your weekly knee to the ass bone for your ear holes. I am Brian, and alongside my co-host Mikey.
Hey everybody. What we're doing here is we're taking a look back at the wrestling and the angles of yesteryear from a new perspective as adults. We're rewatching the wrestling we watched as kids with a couple of drinks in our hands, and we have a great time. Check us out over at atomicdropcast.com or go to YouTube and check out the Atomic Dropcast. Give it a search. We're dropping one episode a week for the next 30 plus weeks. Check it out. It's the re-release of the Atomic Dropcast. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, atomicdropcast.com. It's time for the Feds list. Up first this week is Southwestern Championship Wrestling. They're a hybrid fed, which means angles are booked out, but title pushes are awarded to those who are most active and the writing's best work. We have singles and tags for male wrestlers only at current time, and are looking to expand the roster as the league is emerging from a regional to a more national presence. If you'd like to chat about it, visit our website at scw.fwrestling.com or email the Fed head Chris Hopper at scwofficialmail@gmail.com. OCW Fed is a hybrid eFed competitive CAW league that has been operating for 16 years, combining the elements of roleplay, character development, and storyline elements of a traditional eFed with the competitive play and drive of a CAW league. Online Championship Wrestling has found a nice balance that has something to offer everyone. We are currently operating on 2K19 due to the limitations of 2K20. If you're interested in learning more, you can see all the details at ocwfed.com. That's ocwfed.com. Or check us out at YouTube/OCWFedTV and Twitch.tv/OCWFed. All applicants are welcome, although we're currently looking to expand our women's division. Heart Sweats is a new bi-weekly roleplay-based Fed launching on Monday, January 6th. We have a tournament commencing to crown our first world champion. We're looking for writers of all levels, and we promise to put our talent at the heart of everything we do. That extends to in character and in real life. We can be found over at hscreations.proboards.com. That's Heart Sweats at hscreations.proboards.com. Five Boroughs Wrestling is an angle fed that runs monthly shows in all the boroughs: Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, and the best of them all, the Bronx. Currently, we're looking for tag teams for our tag team tournament along with male wrestlers. Our OOC community is very supportive, outgoing, and encouraging to everyone that comes in. Come check us out at 5bwrestling.com if you're interested. Nike Pro Combat is a roleplay fed looking to grow its women's division as well as its world's division. Any original characters are welcome. Check them out on Twitter at NikePro_combat or online at NikeProCombat.jcinc.net. Alpha Wrestling is a hybrid fed looking for more faces and female characters, but honestly anything is welcome. We've been going for a year and a half with weekly shows and monthly pay-per-views with on-time results. Come check out the Alpha Company in the wrestling world at alphawrestling.jcinc.net. That's alphawrestling.jcinc.net. Elysium Pro Wrestling is a Twitter-based fed, and they're in need of singles, heels, and tag teams of any alignments. Applicants should grab the appropriate application on the WordPress site, fill it out, and DM it to @ElysiumPro1 or @TitanusSam. The address is elysiumprowrestling.home.blog. Check them out, guys, @ElysiumPro1 on Twitter. If you would like to hear your Fed on the Feds list, send a DM to @the_EFedPodcast on Twitter. Give us your pitch for your Fed in roughly one paragraph. And that's going to wrap us up for another episode of the Efed podcast here on the Atomic Dropcast Network. We'd like to thank our guest, Bryce, the handler of Kendrick, Kross. We'd like to thank our sponsors, the Atomic Dropcast, my other podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Check out atomicdropcast.com. Also, go out of your way to check out the EWC, Extreme Wrestling Corporation, EWC4life.com. Guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Efed podcast, and happy holidays to everyone.